Greetings, this is Tammy Herring, and I'm going to share with you a flipped classroom model for a third grade science class. The topic that we are going to be covering is environments. The TEK that we have here, 3.9 AC, the students are going to observe and describe physical characteristics of environments, how they support populations and communities, and really describe the environmental changes due to floods and droughts, to where some organisms will thrive and others will perish or move to new locations. This lesson should take about 2 to 3 days. We're going to focus on Bloom's objectives, really trying to hit the higher order thinking skills for the students to be able to create, evaluate, and analyze. You can see here the different lesson objectives, about 6 different objectives that we want to cover. If you can take a minute to read over those. Some of these are going to pull from prior knowledge. Some of these are new concepts. A lot of these concepts are introduced in 2nd grade and expected to be mastered in 3rd grade. The fundamental questions that we're going to be covering, really getting the students to describe the physical characteristics of an environment, to understand how these physical characteristics will support a particular population or community within an ecosystem, and what are environmental changes and how these affect the organisms, meaning the plant and animal life within an ecosystem. The Maranzano strategies we're going to use. My students are always working in cooperative learning groups. We really want to reinforce effort. They will be using advanced organizers. Would like to provide feedback in their journals and absolutely provide recognition for effort, reinforce that effort. Their vocabulary has been put up in a Quizlet for them to use throughout the lesson. Do not expect it to be mastered prior, not front-end loading those vocabulary terms, but want them to have that to use throughout the lesson so that they have mastery by the end of it. The engagement lesson in the flipped classroom is going to start at home, and I have made a blubber trivia quiz for them to do, to where you can click on the link and see that game. Click on the link and see that. Let me do a cut and paste, I guess. I don't know why that's not hot. Copy that and see if we can't open up the internet here. Okay, paste. See if we can't go to that. All right, so here is the blubber video that I made. And so the concept is that they will watch just a short 20-second clip, and then they will be given a multiple choice question, and depending on their response, they will earn points. So they're going to go through that at home, which is exciting for them. Let me go back to the lesson plan here. The vocabulary words on the Quizlet. I'll have to copy that.
Animals and plants also have homes, but they're not called homes. They're called habitats. Each animal has a habitat specific to their needs. Come with me as we explore.
So the Quizlet should be coming up here in a minute. The Quizlet vocabulary words have been put here. There's 11 different words that they can go through and study throughout the next couple of days. They can do cards, work on spelling, scatter.
A localized group of interdependent organisms.
So a lot of different things that they can do. This scatter game, making it disappear, is a high-speed challenge for them. Let's see. In the lab, we're going to start the Engage the very next day, hoping they have a little bit of an idea of what we're going to be learning about. They're going to be doing an outdoor learning experience. I call that a being there experience, for them to get accustomed to different habitats and looking at how different habitats support life. We are going to introduce the essential questions and key vocabulary. I'm going to bring the iPad with me and use an app here, Board, just to have a slate, basically, to add vocabulary words as we find things, draw a physical description, just kind of give them a model of what they can add to their own journals. They're going to come back to the room and they're going to work in cooperative groups doing a sorting activity, and we're going to begin an anchor chart. That evening when they go home, I've provided them several different YouTube videos for them to watch that have to do with environmental changes. And I'm asking the kids to respond in their journals on their favorite three videos that they watched here. They can pick and choose which ones are their favorite. And then when we come back to the lab the next day, I'm going to hold them accountable because they're going to share out their top pick by explaining what increase or decrease in the habitat happened, what environmental factor caused that change, and how it affected the ecosystem. So they're going to have to, each student is going to respond. There's a variety of ways that we can respond. We can just share out loud in class, or we can use one of the other tools like Padlet to respond if we wanted to. In the lab, they're going to be doing a game that creates scenarios. They're going to be given different scenarios, and they're going to have different organisms, and while they're playing the game, the organisms are going to react to different events, whether it be a positive reaction or a negative reaction, whether it be a flood or a drought that caused a change when the animal or the plant. They're going to then do, part 2 of the lab is to actually make an ecosystem where the students will research different ecosystems and display results in an ecosystem model that they create in with the OSNAP app on the iPad. We're going to be adding words, vocabulary words, to the anchor chart. At home that evening, going into the second day here after the lab, that evening I've posted a worksheet that's called Closing the Gap, and I was able to save it as a PDF file and put it in my Dropbox, and then have a hot link to that worksheet, and they can fill in the worksheet and then submit it to Edmodo or email it to me. I also provided the answer key so their parents could actually check their work, or they could self-check it, but I want it completed and posted on Edmodo or emailed. In lab the following day, they're going to work in groups, and they're going to analyze the essential questions that I have listed up here, these fundamental or essential questions. They're going to work as a team, and I have created a link here on todaysmeet.com, and I created a room called the Superfab Science Lab. for them to respond to these essential questions. I also have on here that we could use Padlet if for some reason today's Meet is not working. Add details to the anchor chart. We're going to use definition frames for the vocabulary cards, which are adding the pictures with the vocabulary words. They're going to create a webbing map to show the relationship between a population, ecosystem, and community. There is an interactive game here on STEM Scopes, and it's an interactive vocabulary game to give them that reinforcement. And then there's also a web quest that can be done in small groups. The elaboration activity, which is their performance task, I'm asking them to play the role of a TV anchor, and with a partner they're going to broadcast the morning announcements for Jane Long. They're to actually tape. One of the students is going to be the reporter, and the other person is going to be the interviewee, which is the environmental science expert. They have to come up with their own questions that and answers to inform the audience on their topics. They have to have a pre-taped digital video, and in that video there should be backdrops, pictures, sound, music, all of that fit the topic that they are reporting on. And I have some suggested web tools for them to use. I need to get those web tools filled in here. Make a note of that. Here are the evaluated concepts, the same as the essential questions that they will need to address in their video. I've added some additional projects that students can work on, designing their own inquiry-based experiment, doing research on Hawaii, and a new species is being introduced to that island. They can also create an information kit that can identify if an area is experiencing a drought. There's also science art, where they can make a model of a Texas state park ecosystem. The evaluation, fix that right there. The evaluation is going to be this project. That's their big evaluation. There's also an online test that is found on STEM Scopes for them to take. Additional evaluation tools. We have reading passages, writing open-ended response questions, the vocabulary cards, the web quest. There's a math connection and an interactive review game. Here is the rubric for them to follow for their performance task that they're doing, their evaluation. I hope you find this flipped lesson user-friendly and useful. Thank you for watching.